So, first of all, I love the fact that this podcast has made me be able to connect with so many people from high school that I didn't even expect that this would come up so naturally. But I have a lot of catching up with you to do. And the first question I have is you describe yourself as a natural born mystic. And when we think of mystics, we think of, in line with spiritual connection and just a higher power of being. I always think of like goddesses and colors. So for you, what does that really mean when you say that you feel as if you're a mystic?
I definitely have like that spiritual side of myself. I always have like just been so connected to nature, like very inclined to just question and want to know like kind of the bigger picture and um it's so hard to put into words, but yeah, I really just have this natural curiosity to like the other side. If
Do you have a memory of when you felt like you were really connecting that energy where it just dawned on you that this is something that not everyone has? I do believe we all possess that, but I don't think everyone can like silence the voices to really hear what we're supposed to do in life and really get those messages. Was there a moment that you were like, oh my God, I have this gift?
not, I really can't think of a specific moment, but definitely like it's almost like as I get older, I tune in more. But it was always kind of a natural thing for me. Like growing up, I felt energy around me. I was always like really scared at night, like scared of the dark, things like that. And I feel like it's because I could sense other other
Energies,
beings or
yeah.
yeah, other energies in the room. And as I get older, it's less scary now. It's more of like a, oh hey, you're there, okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
No,
Yeah.
it's really fascinating. And I do believe in that as well. And I feel like, I don't know if I want to call it ghosts or witches or spirits or beings, but
Yes.
I definitely feel energy. And like bad energy, good energy, it's very real. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when someone is not good for you, or you just get, like they say, bad vibes. And I feel like it's become such a
Yes.
popular term, but that stems from energy. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's a really good thing to have, especially with the world today. You want to surround yourself by people that are going to help you out. And one thing that I love you shared with me is that you have a podcast that's similar. Kind of, you shoot the shit with your friend, but the base of it
Yes.
is mental health. So I love the name. Tell
Mm-hmm.
us the name, what it's about, and then probably along the lines of why I started mine, but tell me what it serves for you and why you and your friend really wanted to get it rolling.
Yeah, so the podcast is called But Like Why. I feel like it's kind of relevant with 2020 and just like what is going on? And
I hear it in
why
such a
this?
like, but like, why?
Why? Exactly. That's exactly how I say it. Um, it's me and my best friend from college. We were actually random roommates and we ended up being like the closest ever and
Oh, I love
we lived
that.
together for 4 years, yeah, in
Wow.
college. So she moved across the country to California, and then kind of 2020 happened, and she just moved back to Florida. And we kind of really reconnected during this time. Just really having a lot of heart to hearts, talking to each other about things that we really couldn't talk to others about. She's like probably the most open minded person I know. So we really could just connect on this different level. And it was her idea. She was like, hey, I want to start a podcast. Like, would you want to be a part of it? And I was like, wait, what? Like, be your co host? And she's like, yeah, you can be like as involved as you want. But like, I think we could really make something amazing. I think we have such a unique perspective to share. And I was like, I'm so down. That sounds like so much fun. And I've always wanted to start a podcast. It seems like the
You
perfect
seem
time too.
super comfortable on camera and just
Oh,
voicing your
thank you.
opinion. Have you found that it's what you thought it would be, or have you been like, oh, just sometimes I hear my voice back and I'm like, no, that's not me. And you're like, oh, okay, wait, I've realized that now that I say that, everyone's going to pay attention to this, but I have such an awful blinking problem that it's weird. I blink
Stop.
so much, but like when you try and think about not blinking, then your eyes get
Mhm.
dry. People
And then
say
it's worse. You're just like,
really
ah,
difficult to fix. Yeah. But what were you
that's so
thrown
funny.
off in any way, or did it feel so comfortable because she was your friend?
Honestly, I was so nervous. I really have a big fear of like speaking and I hated like presentations in class, like but it honestly like I came to this point in my life where it was like, Taylor, it's time for you to get past this hurdle. Like you have to do this. You have to share your voice, and you have to just embrace it, and like it's okay. It's just a conversation. This is your best friend. And who knows where it will go, you know what I mean? So it definitely, like, there was a lot of fear at first, but now we're like 4 episodes in and I'm like not nervous at all. We get more and more comfortable each time, kind of getting our own little rhythm, and I'm really enjoying it. It's almost like our weekly therapy. I definitely look forward to it. It's like I need this.
100%, especially with the state of things. I mean, I sound like a broken record saying it, but every time you turn the TV, there's some really depressing shit going on. Yeah. And I find myself, even though I can acknowledge that I'm so lucky and fortunate to have what I have, I still have like a lot of bad days, and just like trying to stay positive and happy when it's hard to. But when I started a podcast, it gave me something to look forward to, just like talking to people, being open. And I think it's normal to be nervous for it, because essentially, like, you're talking, like right now I'm talking to you, and I'm visualizing just our conversation, but you put it out for other people and they can do whatever they want with it. And judgment comes, but that's everything. And I think that we're going to regret not sharing our thoughts and feelings more than, like, I just don't think that's a healthy thing to keep everything bottled up, because eventually things will explode. So I think naturally, just like, and even if you say something you regret, which probably will happen, I feel like it's just a part of learning and growing from that. And we need these experiences to shape us into who we even want to be. We don't know sometimes until we find out what we don't like about it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's so cool, because I do agree. Like, I was kind of nervous at first. I was like, well, we changed so much, like even in the course of a month. And I don't know. Yeah, I do think about that. Like, oh, am I going to regret saying this or this? But I think it's just honestly kind of shedding light on the fact that, like, we're human, and it's okay if you're here today and then you're there tomorrow. Like, that's the whole point. It's the whole growing process. Like, it makes things interesting. I'm not going to be the same every single day. I hope not.
I love that you said that too, because first of all, it'd be extremely boring if everything we knew what was going to happen. But I think we put a lot of pressure, myself included, that say you're struggling with something and then you feel like you finally got past it. If we backtrack sometimes and we make those same stupid mistakes, we are so hard on ourselves. And I get it, because it feels like, oh, I thought I was past this, and it's frustrating. And of course, I do it too, but I think that's just like giving ourselves grace to be like, you know what, I'm going to acknowledge that, like, I'm not exactly happy with how I handled that situation or how I presented myself today, but I get to wake up, and I'm fortunate enough that I get another day to start over and do this again. And it's just like, I think it's so easy to look at things in hindsight and be like, yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
But it's remembering that in the moment and just like keeping your cool and just really being a little nicer to ourselves. Like, I love that. Have you ever heard talk to yourself like you would your best friend?
No.
Like, I love that. And I feel like anytime a friend comes to me, I'm like, you got this. Like, no
right.
time, we'll figure it out. Right. But then when it's us, we're like, oh my God, I'm not going to figure this out. Like, everything's burning. Like, so why don't we apply that confidence to ourselves? But it's interesting. It's just like we self-sabotage.
Yes. Why is it like that? Why is it so much easier to help others?
And I get frustrated.
Like, I should take my own advice.
Well, it's like, why do we have to go to the negative side of things before the positive? Why is that our go-to? It's actually so frustrating to me that, like, I mean, maybe it's something that, like, as we get older, we can train ourselves to do that. But I just always feel like fear is at the forefront of a lot of things we do. And I'm really trying to change that. But I do have another question for you. When you said you got a little nervous for the podcast, I'm almost surprised, because when I think of you and Taylor from high school, like, you always, and even obviously now, like, you always were so bold with your looks and your fashion. Like, you were just not the person that I would ever think would care what anyone really thought. Oh my God. But that's
crazy. That's crazy.
Like, I don't know, like, it's obviously beautiful, but I feel like it does take more confidence to have looks that are going to stand out. People are probably going to turn towards the girl with the bright hair versus everyone else. But what is it like for you? I feel like that's got to be another form of therapy to just really
Oh,
colors and fashion.
1,000%. It's like I've joked that it's like my coping mechanism, hair, like changing my hair color, because it definitely made this confidence come out. Like I feel like I was actually the most self-conscious person in high school, and just very,
Oh,
very nervous, very afraid of what everybody is thinking or whatever. But you know, when I
I'm like,
moved
we're
and
all
went
the
to
biggest
college, that
losers.
kind of changed. Yeah, right, exactly. It's like it's really not a big deal, but yeah, as I've gotten older and like kind of embraced the hair thing, that's definitely it's such a fun way for me to express myself, and just it helps me to embody like different just I don't know, different energies, you know what I mean? I feel a certain way, like with this orange I feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more intimidating, maybe more mature, like, so each color kind of brings out this new like attitude in me, I feel like. So that's why I love doing it.
I love that. And being in LA, I feel like my style has definitely become a lot more bold. And I never used to wear color and stuff like that. And I do have a roommate who wears like loud pants and loud colors, and she definitely inspired me to do that. But it's so funny how something like your clothes or your hair really does change your mood. You just feel more confident. And almost when you put an outfit on that grabs attention, you kind of force yourself on the inside to be like, all right, you know, people are looking at you, show up. Like you
Yep.
can't be this
You
little
better show up.
shell, you know? Yeah, like you've got to
Yes.
that confidence internally as well. Or like if you don't believe it, no one else will type thing. So I think that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes fashion
Yeah.
can push us to be that person, even if we don't necessarily feel like it when we wake up that morning. But of course,
Yes.
we want to talk about mental health because that is such a huge thing. And both of us seem like pretty happy people, but I love that we're the
Yeah.
girls on this podcast because I think from the outside, if someone might look at your Instagram or my Instagram, they're like, oh, like life is great. But obviously, we're here because it's not always great. So,
Mm-mm. Nope.
aside from passion and expression, talk us through. So, what do you do for work? And then, how has it all been? How's your life basically been shook by what is 2020?
Yeah, okay. So right now I'm managing a hair salon, and it's my best friend is the owner, so it couldn't be a better situation for me, honestly. And this change happened just a few months ago because of 2020 and everything. The year started out so different than it is now. The year started out with actually a lot of loss. I lost 2 out of 3 of my pets in
Oh my
1 week.
God. Right?
And yeah, it was crazy. It was like the day after Christmas, we had to put our dog to sleep,
Ugh.
and then New Year's Eve, my kitten, who was only, well, not kitten, but she was only like a few years old, she just passed away like in the middle of it, like nowhere, no warning or anything.
Oh,
And it was such a shock, but that was New Year's Eve. Like that's how we like ended 2019. And you know, me and my partner were just thinking like, this is insane, but this had to happen for some greater reason that we just don't know yet. And I really believe that it was just to make space for what was to come, and we just couldn't take them with us, you know. So
mhm.
that was like kind of how the year started, and then things went haywire. I think we've handled this year amazingly well. I know not everybody has, you know, had the easiest time, but I feel like I've had the best support system around me, and I've really stayed in a pretty good place mentally. Thank God. But yeah, and it really, I had to move out of the town I was in. I moved home, and now I'm working with, you know, some of my best friends, living with them, and just really like doing what I'm passionate about, what I'm good at, and really growing into this like leadership role because I'm the manager. So it's so different than anything else I've ever done, but
Yeah, you're almost opposite
it's
of most
challenging me in
people.
all the ways.
You're almost opposite of most
Yeah.
people. Most of us started this year off like it's gonna be the best year ever, and then everything went to shit.
Yes.
But you kind of experienced all that loss, and then it almost, in a way, made you stronger for what was to come, which is crazy because when you think of what was to come was worse, but you, I think perspective is everything, and you're the clear example of that
Yes.
because for most people it's hard to say, oh, this must have come for a certain reason. did it take you a little bit of time to get there? Or, I mean, obviously you had a grieving stage, but was it easy to come to that? Being a spiritual person, do you find that helps you connect a little bit with like just like the higher being of someone helping you to understand? You can drive yourself crazy of trying to figure out why things happen sometimes, and like why certain things happen to certain people. And it's really tough sometimes trying to find those answers.
It is, yeah. It definitely was a process. I mean, it was almost immediately that we were telling each other like, okay, like this is insane, but like why? Like we know that there has to be some bigger reason. This just doesn't happen. This is like so crazy. I've never even heard of this. Like our family, you know, it's like your little family. It was definitely a process, but and some days were harder than others. You know, some days I was totally fine, and other days it's like you see a photo and you're just crying, like I miss them. You know, it's like, and your pets are so innocent and loving, but it was kind of easy, like in a way, and I don't want that to sound like insensitive or anything, but I think we moved through it as gracefully as we possibly could, and just kind of taking it as it comes, you know, and just dealing with it as it comes. But
well, what's funny is that I think your story on paper, it doesn't seem easy at all. You went through loss of 2 beloved pets, and then you experienced hell of 2020. So yes, your job and jobs do have a lot to do with our happiness, but I think that to me, it doesn't sound insensitive to say that at all, because it seems like you've just completely done this self-work and changed the way you that made it seem easy, where I think if someone else had your same situation might not feel that way because they aren't where you are mentally, if that makes sense. So I think that like you have to give yourself credit that like I feel this way because I chose to feel that way, and you did the self-work. Are you into any type of like, as far as, is there anything like as far as being like a mystic? I'm so interested in just how you might differ from someone that wants to, you know, pray to connect, or are you into like, I love my oracle cards and things like that? Do you do anything like that?
Yeah, I have like, I'm obsessed with all my crystals, and like I've got a bunch of you know, card decks and things like that. But I kind of honestly mix like spirituality and religion, and this year kind of brought me to that point. Like there was definitely a part, like there was a time in my life where I went through a lot of loss, and I lost my grandparents in high school, and they like raised me. So that was, I've experienced so much loss in my life. I think the pets, it was like, oh, well, this is nothing, you know. But yeah, that definitely prepared me. And I lost my train of thought. I don't know where I was going with that, but
well, just as far as like reach out to like the goddesses and oracle cards.
Yes, like that's right.
I love it.
Yes. So this year is what kind of like reconnected me with God, and after I lost my grandparents is when I got mad at God, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, why would you do this to me? Like, I need them. And, you know, it was really hard. And I kind of just shut that out of my life, like literally until this year. And I started praying again, and I started just reconnecting and really looking at the bigger picture and kind of thinking to myself, like, yes, I'm spiritual and I do all these, you know, meditation, yoga, and I'm eating well and all these things, but there's still this missing link. It just didn't feel complete. And I had to admit to myself, like, Taylor, it's because of this, you know, you have to like be open to this. And I think it's also about kind of creating your own understanding of God, like maybe not believing that it's a man or in the sky, you know, whatever it is for you that makes that, you know, you resonate with. I think that's a lot, that's a very important part of it. But yeah, I don't know. It's cool because now I feel like I finally like mixed the two and it's whole, and there's no missing link anymore.
That I'm smiling so big because you're freaking me out right now. You were saying exactly what I'm experiencing, and it's
yes.
I hate more than anything when people, well, not more than anything, but I hate when people try and their religious views on other people. I feel like if
Mhm.
anything is going to make them go in the opposite direction, I don't want to be like a pusher ever. And I'm
Yes.
struggling too with like, I always have believed in God, but like, I felt like sometimes it'd be like, oh, I should do this, but like, do I want to do that? And like feeling guilt if I'm not like more involved in things religiously. And then I was like, I think the truth is that I'm not like under any umbrella of religion. I do consider myself a believer and I'm spiritual, but just like you said, it's defining what it is for you. That was
Mhm.
for me. And that almost took this weight off my shoulders where I'm like, I don't have to present myself in any type of way. I just need to be who I am. And that was huge. And then I started
Mhm.
reading, have you ever heard of Conversations with God?
Yeah, I have. I've
Not
heard of
right
that. Yeah.
now. That is mind blowing. I only do 10 pages at a time, partly because I'm a
Mhm.
little lazy, and the other part is because it's a lot to take in that I really don't want to rush it. I want to process and make sure I'm like understanding as I go for real. But it's really cool, and that's
Mhm.
the entire idea. I feel like I could talk to you forever, but I do, before I let you go,
Oh, yes.
you've told me, I know a lot of your go-to resources are probably your own podcast and just the people you keep around you. I agree are so essential in your happiness because that energy, it's only natural. We're going to absorb other people when they're in our space all the time.
Mhm.
But what else can you share? Maybe even share like a story from your podcast. I definitely, if you send me the link, I definitely want to put it in your description below.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, perfect.
what's your like, what do you do when you're just not feeling good, or what makes you in that mental space that you know is healthy for you?
Yeah. It sounds like super cliche, but I definitely have my little rituals when I'm feeling completely drained, like at my lowest, weakest point. I have to set the mood in my room. So I'll like light the candles, incense. I'll put on healing frequencies. I swear by healing frequencies, like
That just like,
YouTube healing
okay,
frequencies.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
I
there's
like
there's
this
all
sound
different
bath.
kinds of like yeah, that's basically what it is. I'll do that. Like yoga is so good for me. I feel like it's the one thing that really, really can keep me grounded and it gets all the stuck energy that you're holding onto from the day out and you can just breathe better. And those are like the main things that I do physically, that really help to shift my state of mind. Um, Also to go outside, look at the sky. Um, Being in nature always, always, always helps. And it's just like a nice reset when you're in nature. You can't go wrong.
And then I lied. One more question. Who is
Ooh,
your
okay.
ultimate like fashion inspiration if you're feeling a little stuck in what you want to do next? Like who's your Instagram go-to or what's that like for you?
Oh, I will say there is. Oh, that's so hard. Let me think. For hair, it's the one that I usually stock the most. They're called Not Another Salon, and I love everything they post, like the coolest hair inspo ever. That's usually
So look at
like
that.
where I get my inspiration for colors and stuff. Yes, they're amazing there. I think they're in the UK,
Gonna
but
get me into
very,
trouble.
very cool page. I love them. Yeah, I love them.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really glad I got to talk to you, and hopefully now that we've reconnected, we can keep and connect even more. And
Yes.
I wish you all the best. I'm excited for what's to come for you. Of
Oh, thanks, Haley. Thank you for having me on. All
course. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
right, bye.